So, welcome everybody. Thank you for coming. We're going to be discussing how to conduct a synchronous online course and some of the tips on how to do this. One thing to understand about a synchronous online course is it's very similar to a face-to-face class. It's just over a long distance. And understanding that there's a difference between remote teaching and online teaching. This sort of bridges the gap between strictly remote with very few principles applied and very well executed online class teaching. The synchronous part of this is sort of in the middle between in that spectrum. And because you're in a class, but you're on the computer in a class in real time with everybody speaking and everybody able to hear each other in real time, it's important that you have some rules of conduct and etiquette during your class, which is very similar to a face-to-face class. You would have rules of etiquette concerning you raising your hand, not speaking in front on top of another person. So in Zoom being the primary application that people are using for synchronous classes, real-time synchronous classes, here are some tips. You want to make sure that you mute your microphone when you step into the room, because there might be background noises that are in your environment. So another thing is to be, once again, be aware of background noises. When you are in the class, after you've unmuted your microphone, if somebody walks through the rooms and starts vacuuming, you want to be aware of that sound is going to be heard by everybody in the Zoom meeting. You want to position your camera to maximum effect. So you want to have a undistracting background. Maybe not many bright lights in the background. You want to make sure that what they're focusing on in the picture is your face. You limit distractions such as playing on or working on your smartphone or doing another activity at the same time or talking on your phone during a Zoom meeting. It's considered impolite. You also want to reduce multitasking, which could be, once again, working on your computer on a different application while you're in the meeting. It's a good idea to stay focused on the Zoom meeting because you can get more out of it. And another thing is to be prepared with files that are ready to go, or links or videos that you're going to present during the meeting. Have them already open on your computer in a different window. So those are some of the etiquette rules. One thing to know about Zoom is that you can use their breakout rooms. And the Zoom Help Center at support.zoom.us has a video instruction on how to use breakout rooms. They also have pictures, step-by-step pictures that explain how to manipulate the tools in a breakout room. What the options are. You would do a countdown timer to close the rooms and have everybody join the main meeting room. You can designate the number of people who will be in a breakout room. You can move people around in a breakout room. You can actually step into the breakout room and be part of their discussion and then step out and step into another breakout room if you want to. The instructor has several capabilities that's very similar to a regular face-to-face class. So this web page is very helpful and gives some visual as well as video instructions on the Zoom breakout room feature. And one thing to remember though, for this particular Zoom application, you cannot record what is happening in the breakout rooms. You can ask a person in the breakout room to record it, but the instructor can't. The instructor can record the main meeting, but cannot individually record what's happening in the separate rooms. So one thing to be aware of is that I have a a YouTube channel, College of St. Rose Online Learning Services YouTube channel, that has instructions on how to use breakout rooms in Zoom. This is the playlist Zoom tutorials. And there are two. There's how to use the Zoom breakout room, and there are how to download, how to control the breakout rooms as an instructor. Only instructors can find the breakout room option on their toolbar. The students, being members of the meeting and not hosts of the meeting, cannot see that icon on the toolbar. One thing about breakout rooms and synchronous online teaching is that it, very much like a face-to-face class, you want to have some guidelines on how your students are collaborating, because frequently the purpose of getting into small groups is to either discuss a topic and hear each other's opinions, or to work on a project of some kind. So collaborative learning follows the same principles that a face-to-face class would follow. You want to assign a collaborative project that's sufficiently challenging to warrant that collaboration. You want to form small teams of 2 to 4 members with a diverse knowledge background so that they can assist each other. The people who have more knowledge can adequately transfer the information to a new setting, and people who have less knowledge can learn the principles of the concept and benefit from the more experienced students' skills. You want to provide a structured team process that supports individual participation. So, for example, you might have the students rate each other on their performance in the group project to ensure that you get a good assessment of who was actually working and who was not putting as much effort into the project. Use a combination of synchronous collaboration for synergy, because the point of synchronous collaboration is you can, in real time, get the energy and ideas from somebody else in your class. That synergy is very helpful. Now, you also want to mix that with some asynchronous collaboration, such as a post board, an electronic discussion board, because that gives the student time for reflection and to really think about their response. One benefit of online classes is that you get the synergy of discussing, and then you have time to really think about it and think about how it applies to your situation. That reflection is possible because when you're doing a discussion board, you have plenty of time to respond to someone's posts. You can also select a specific post that you really relate to and respond to that. Instead, you can choose not to respond to other people's posts who are not in the same situation you're in. So you can pick and choose who you are responding to. You need to provide a structured assignments that minimize. You want to ensure that your assignments follow a similar pattern, because extraneous cognitive load is the concept of having to learn something new each time just to do the project. Instead, if you have a rule in your discussion board or in your synchronous Zoom class that you have to wait for the other person to speak before you speak, or you have to respond to a maximum of 2 students, if that happens each time they enter the synchronous or asynchronous activity, they already know the rules. There's nothing extra they need to process in their mind that's new. And it helps them focus on the concepts rather than the executive management part of it. Also use facilitation techniques that optimize social presence in an online collaborative environment. So in your Zoom meeting, you start by saying, hello class, and make sure that everybody sees your face. Last week, we talked about this concept. Today, we're going to talk about that concept. And that makes them sense that their teacher is there talking to them in real time. You might not want to start a class with a Zoom share, with a screen share first, and have a voice coming out from the ether talking. You want to show them your face. So let's see. The last thing I wanted to point out is if you have people who are not participating, and some students have complained about it, you might suggest that at the end of each collaborative meeting in the Zoom breakout rooms, that each student write a 1-paragraph summary of what happened in the meeting, what concepts they discussed, how informative the responses were. It's not a tattletale, it's just this is what we did in the meeting, and this is how we collaborated. You might consider doing that. It gives them practice in writing, and it gives you a review of what happened in the meeting. And if a student feels like they got off topic too often, you're aware of it. You can set up rules where no names are given. If you want to do that, that's fine. It just gives you a temperature reading of how productive that room was. So that summarizes all of what I was going to present in synchronous online teaching. And I want to reiterate the importance of mixing asynchronous discussion boards with synchronous class meetings, because it makes the learning process richer. All right, thanks very much.